Senate will come to order. All those not having privileges of the floor will please vacate the chamber. Those in the gallery and those on the floor will please rise as we are led in prayer by the Reverend Tom Bias, retired Methodist clergy from Madison, West Virginia. Please remain standing after the prayer as the junior senator from the 8th leads us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Reverend Bias.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we grow still as we enter into your presence this morning. We wait before you and yield our hearts and minds to you. We have heard your word from the writer of Proverbs as he says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." We desire your blessings, O Lord, upon the West Virginia Senate as these men and women come together to make the laws for your people. We acknowledge that we have not always loved you with our whole heart, nor have we always loved our neighbors as we ought to. O Lord, just as you have called these men and these women to public service, we are mindful that you've called each of us as citizens of West Virginia to pray for and to support our legislators and government leaders. And now, O Lord, may the Holy Spirit remind us day by day that we have a responsibility to pray for our country, to pray for the state of West Virginia, and to pray for our leaders. And now may the Lord bless and keep them. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon them and be gracious unto them. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon them and give them his peace. In the name of Christ our Lord, amen.
Thank you, Reverend. The junior senator from the 8th.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guests, please join me as we pledge allegiance to our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reading of the Journal.
West Virginia Legislature Senate Journal, Thursday, January 21st, 2016. The Senate met at 11 a.m. Senator
The
Cole.
senator from Boone requests unanimous consent that further reading of the journals be of Thursday, January 21st and Friday, January 22nd be dispensed with, and the journals be approved. Is there objection? Chair hears none. Further reading of the journals is dispensed with. Journals are approved. Introduction of guests. On behalf of the Senate, it's my pleasure to welcome our honorary pages for the day. Please stand and be recognized as your names are called. As guest of the senator from Jackson, Christian Deese. As guest of the senator from Pleasance, Leah O'Donnell. And as a guest of the senator from Logan, Chase Barker. Please welcome our pages. Senator from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my pleasure and yours to introduce the doc for the day, Dr. Elizabeth Yeager of Huntington, West Virginia. If she's in the rear of a gallery, if she'd stand, the Senate make her welcome. Couple other introductions, Mr. President. I want to mention that the page today, Joe Deese, or Christian Deese, is the 2014 Sports Columnist of the Year for West Virginia Weekly Papers. He's escorted to the Capitol by his father, Joe Deese, who's in the rear of our gallery. If he would stand, the Senate make him welcome. Also, Mr. President, I request unanimous consent that the provisions of Senate Rule number 54 be suspended in order to permit the family of our new senator from Wyoming the privileges of the floor for the day.
Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Further introductions. The senator from Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of yourself and my fellow senator from the 11th, I'd like to extend a welcome to the Williams family, Mike, Andrea, Ellie, Jolie, and Grayson. They've traveled from Summersville this morning to visit with us during homeschool day. If you would please stand, and if the Senate would please make them feel welcome.
The senator from Pleasance.
Did you say Pleasance? Thank you, Mr. President. We have homeschoolers as a page today, and I'd like to introduce her parents, Julie and Michael O'Donnell from Vienna. And will you make them welcome? They're in the back gallery.
The senator from Logan.
Mr. President, it's your pleasure, and on behalf of the senior senator from the 7th, in the center gallery in the rear is the mother of our page, Chase Barker. Would Linda Barker stand and let the Senate make her welcome?
Further introductions. Senator from Boone.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Senator from Logan, we're very pleased to have accompanying Reverend Tom Bice, his lovely wife, Nancy. If she'd stand, the Senate make her welcome.
Further introductions. Communications from the House.
The Clerk of the House announced the passage by that body of engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 2101, eliminating obsolete government entities.
Message will be received. Bill be referred to the Committee on Government Organization. Communications from the Executive.
I have a letter dated January 22nd, 2016, addressed to the Honorable Natalie Tennant, Secretary of State. Dear Secretary Tennant, pursuant to West Virginia Code 3105, I have this day appointed Naomi Klein, Post Office Box 46, Brenton, Wyoming County, West Virginia, 24818, as a senator representing the 9th Senatorial District of the West Virginia State Senate to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of the Honorable Daniel Hall. Sincerely, Earl Ray Tomblin, Governor.
Communication will be received. Senator from Wyoming, previously qualified and was sworn in. Senator Klein, welcome to the West Virginia State Senate. How about a round of applause? Reports from standing committees.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration Senate Bill 27, permitting sheriff to hire outside attorneys for collection of taxes through courts, and reports back a committee substitute for same. And Senate Bill 28, County Commission and Municipality Agreements and demolishing buildings unfit for habitation, and reports back a committee substitute for same. With the recommendation that the two committee substitutes do pass, but under the original double committee references, first be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. Respectfully submitted, Craig Blair, Chair.
Report will be received. Under the bill's original double committee references, the bills will be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration Senate Bill 55, clarifying tax map rules applied to both paper and digital maps, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass, but under the original double committee reference, first be referred to the Committee on Finance. Respectfully submitted, Craig Blair, Chair.
Report will be received. Under the bill's original double committee reference, bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration Senate Bill 132, requiring municipal police officers wear armored vests when feasible, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass, but under the original double committee reference, first be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. Respectfully submitted, Craig Blair, Chair.
Report will be received. Under the bill's original double committee reference, bill will be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary.
Your Committee on Education has had under consideration Senate Bill 146, establishing instruction standards for early childhood education, and reports back a committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Dave Seipolt, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration Senate Bill 262, eliminating need for law enforcement to obtain court order prior to having access to inmate mail and phone recordings, and reports back a committee substitute for same. And committee substitute for Senate Bill 290, assignment of wages by employers and payment by payroll card, and reports back a committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the two committee substitutes do pass. Respectfully submitted, Charles S. Trump IV, Chair.
Report will be received. Reports from select committees.
There are none.
Introduction of bills. The senator from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that Senate Bill number 374 through Senate Bill number 387 be considered introduced, read by their titles, and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on the chamber automation system.
Senator from Jackson requests unanimous consent that Senate Bill 374 through Senate Bill 387 be considered introduced, read by their titles, referred to the appropriate committees as shown on the chamber automation system. Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Resolutions.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 11 by Senators Stallings and Plymel naming the U.S. Marine Corps Sergeant Gerald Leslie Perry Memorial Bridge.
Under Rules of Senate, resolution allow over 1 day.
Senate Resolution 7 by Senator Hall authorizing appointment of employees.
The senior senator from the 4th.
Mr. President, I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and that the resolution be put upon its adoption.
Senior senator from the 4th requests unanimous consent the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, the resolution be put upon its adoption. Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 7 authorizing appointment of permanent and per diem employees for the second regular session of the 82nd Legislature and payment of their compensation.
The questions on adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? Senior senator from the 4th.
Just briefly, this is your annual pay resolution. I won't read the full details if nobody wants them, but actually the resolution reflects a reduction in staffing this year over last year. The proposed total cost of per diem staff for 2016 is $6,000 per day, or $360,000 for the legislative session. It also authorizes 43 full-time positions. I advocate passage of the resolution.
Is there further discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. I declare the resolution adopted. The clerk will read the next resolution.
Senate Resolution 8 by Senators Carnes, Boley, Cole, Mr. President, Carmichael, Hall, Seipolt, Unger, Kirkendall, Yost, Ashley, Laird, Trump, Kessler, Stallings, Palumbo, Walters, Facemeyer, Ferns, Maynard, Mullins, Miller, Blair, Boso, Romano, Snyder, Takubo, Beach, Leonhardt, Wolfel, Williams, and Plymel, designating January 25th, 2016 as Homeschool Day at the Legislature.
Senator from Upshur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, and the resolution put upon its adoption.
Senator from Upshur requests unanimous consent the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, the resolution be put upon its adoption. Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 8, designating January 25th, 2016 as Homeschool Day at the Legislature.
Questions on adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? Senator from Upshur.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not so much discussion. I just wanted to point out that we do have a lot of folks visiting from all over our state here today, and they're out in the rotunda for Homeschool Day at the Capitol, and I'm sure everyone here has at least one or two people from their district, and you might want to stop out and say hi.
Further discussion? If not, the question for the Senate is adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. I declare the resolution adopted. Senator from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in brief recess for the purpose of presenting the resolution.
Senator from Jackson moves the Senate stand in brief recess for purpose of presenting the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted. The Senate will stand in brief recess to present the resolution.
You're tuned to coverage of the West Virginia Legislature on the West Virginia Channel. This is today's Senate floor session, which convened at 11. The House floor session will convene at 1 o'clock this afternoon. That was to give members of the legislature, of the House in particular, time to get from their districts and back to Charleston after the big snowstorm that we experienced over the weekend. Microphones in the Senate are off right now as the senators are posing for a picture for Home School Day at the Capitol today. You will note that the Senate audio is crystal clear and fixed, and we appreciate the efforts of the Senate staff for making that happen. The Senate had had audio difficulties from the very first day, but they have been fixed, and we are hearing the Senate floor session now very, very clearly, and we appreciate their efforts. The Senate will reconvene momentarily.
Senate will come to order. The clerk will read the next resolution.
Senate Resolution 9 by Senators Gaunch, Palumbo, Stallings, and Plymel, congratulating the George Washington High School Patriots girls volleyball team for winning the 2015 AAA State Championship.
The junior senator from the 8th.
Mr. President, I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, the committee reference dispensed with, and the resolution be put upon its adoption.
Junior senator from the 8th requests unanimous consent the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, committee reference be dispensed with, the resolution be put upon its adoption. Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 9, congratulating the George Washington High School Patriots girls volleyball team for winning the 2015 AAA State Volleyball Championship.
Questions on adoption of the resolutions or discussion? Junior senator from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of my senior senator from the 8th and the senators from the 17th, we have the opportunity today to congratulate the George Washington Patriot girls volleyball team. Had an incredible, dominant year, finishing with a record of 65-1-1 on their way to winning the MSAC championship, the Region 3 Section 1 championship, the Region 3 championship, and the 2015 AAA State Volleyball Championship.
Wow. Is there further discussion? If not, question for the Senate is the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. I declare the resolution adopted. Senator from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in brief recess for the purpose of presenting the resolution.
Senator from Jackson moves Senate stand in brief recess for purpose of presenting the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. I declare the motion adopted. The Senate will stand in brief recess to present the resolution.
And once again, the Senate chamber is silent right now as microphones are not on, so that members can pose for a picture with the volleyball team of George Washington High School. Just wanted to come and tell you that, just to reassure that it is not your TV set or the device that you're watching the proceedings on. The Senate microphones are off at the moment.
Senate will come to order. Motions. Petitions.
There are none.
Unfinished business.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 9, naming the United States Army First Sergeant Jesse T. McPeak Memorial Road.
Resolution be referred to the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 10, urging Congress call convention to amend Constitution of United States.
Resolution be referred to Committee on Judiciary. Bills on third reading.
There are none.
Bills on second reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 13, increasing penalties for overtaking and passing stopped school buses. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
If not, the bill be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Senate Bill 32, relating to withdrawal of candidates for office of filling vacancies. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
Yes, sir. The Committee on the Judiciary moved to amend the bill on page 2, section 11,
Senator
line
from
14.
Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to explain the amendment in lieu of having it read.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Senator from Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The amendment is a technical amendment. It's found on page 2, line 14, changing the word withdraw to withdrawal, reflecting a noun as opposed to a verb. I would urge adoption of the amendment.
Is there discussion? If not, question is on the adoption of the amendment offered by the Committee on the Judiciary. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Declare the amendment adopted. Are there further amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
If not, the bill be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 102, conforming to Federal Law Enforcement Officers Safety Act. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
If not, the bill be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 157, Alcohol Beverage Control Commission rule relating to non-intoxicating beer licensing and operations and procedure. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
If not, the bill be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Senate Bill 253, exempting drug treatment and drug recovery facilities from county and municipal ordinances.
Senator from Jackson.
Mr. President, I move to refer Senate Bill 253 to the Committee on Rules.
Senator from Jackson moves to refer Senate Bill 253 to the Committee on Rules. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Senate Bill 253 will be referred to the Committee on Rules.
Senate Bill 311, allowing permanent exception for mortgage modification or refinancing loan under Federal Making Home Affordable Program. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Not the bill be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Senate Bill 323, correcting statute subsection designations regarding trespassing on property. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Not the bill be engrossed and advanced to third reading. Bills on first reading.
Senate Bill 107, Uniform Interstate Depositions and Discovery Act, first reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 195, DHHR rule relating to West Virginia clearance for access registry and employment screening, first reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced. Introduction of guests. Remarks by members. Senator from Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Myself and on behalf of the entire Democratic caucus, we would like to welcome to our midst today the newly appointed and seated senator from Wyoming and wish her a warm welcome to the Senate and look forward to a productive working relationship with you as you represent the citizens of Wyoming County and your district. Welcome, Senator.
Senator from Jackson.
Brett.
Senator from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that the gracious remarks by the gentleman from Marshall be printed in the appendix of the journal.
Senator from Jackson requests unanimous consent that the remarks by the senator from Marshall be placed in the appendix of the journal. Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered.
Mr. President.
Senator from Jackson.
One other under remarks. Just wanted to share with the members, I know we had a long debate about the right to work piece of legislation, and it was a very good discussion, a lot of back and forth, and I think everyone handled themselves very professionally. Well, I wanted to say that the Wall Street Journal picked this up, and if you have an opportunity to look at the editorial today in the Wall Street Journal, just wanted to share some good news. I consider good news. The Wall Street Journal certainly considers it good news. West Virginia's right to work. The struggling state may allow more worker freedom, and it just talks about the beginning line, Mr. President, is West Virginia has suffered economically. This says, as President Obama tries to kill the coal industry, but now comes some economic hope. The Mountain State soon could become the 26th state to pass a right-to-work law. And as you go through, it's a very brief article, and I won't read it all, but I just wanted to, with the concluding paragraph, right-to-work laws, and as some of my colleagues have said, right-to-work laws aren't the only driver of economic growth, but many businesses won't consider building a new plant in a state without it. After New Mexico's 6.8%, West Virginia is tied with Nevada for the second highest state jobless rate at 6.5%. The state desperately needs to make itself more competitive, and right-to-work would help. So, thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership on this and for the national publication for calling attention to this. And as we continue through this process, let us all hope that it really does provide more jobs and opportunities. So thank you, Mr. President.
Further remarks, Senator from Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to take the opportunity today, we're of course all aware of the snow, to thank some people. And I'm going to start with the Department of Highways, each of our municipalities. I stayed in Charleston this weekend and firsthand got to see all that, and especially the National Guard that helped here so much at the Capitals all over the state. The Guard unit and I got to talk to each of them personally, the loader operators and so forth, and some of it in the middle of the night. I got up at 2 in the morning to go out and talk with them because I felt I had to thank them for the job they were doing. They were here some very long nights, and I think are still out there this morning moving snow. So that Guard unit was from Nicholas County, some great people up there. You sent your salt of the earth people here to move snow at the Capitol. So thank all of them. The effort has been statewide. My area got hit with 36 inches to 42 inches of snow. So they're twice what we have here. But again, it's a Herculean effort by Homeland Security, all the first responders. I know we've had in Jefferson County a fire truck stuck trying to get to a collapsed house. So again, it has been a effort by everyone involved. But I want to thank neighbors for helping neighbors, Mr. President. I got to see that firsthand, that in an emergency situation like this, that just to shovel your neighbor's sidewalk that can't do that themselves, whether they're elderly or for whatever reason, that it does show the best in humanity when there is something like this happen. And I wanted to thank everyone, and I believe I can officially do that on the part of the Senate, Mr. President, that thank everyone for the kindness and the hard work that they've all shown.
I also think it deserves a round of applause. Senator from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the eloquent remarks by the gentleman from Jefferson be printed in the appendix of the Journal.
Senator from Jackson requests unanimous consent that the remarks by the senator from Jefferson be published in the appendix of the Journal. Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. The junior senator from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move unanimous consent that the remarks from the senator from Jackson be placed in the appendix of the Journal.
The junior senator from the 8th requests unanimous consent that the remarks by the senator from Jackson be placed in the appendix of the Journal. Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Further remarks by members. Miscellaneous business, the senator from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Subject to announcements, I move the Senate stand adjourned until tomorrow at 11 a.m., and I have a couple of announcements. Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to call attention to the fact that, we are so blessed to have the Doc for the Day program. And today is a celebration of that day. It's the sort of the anniversary of the establishment of it. So when you get an opportunity, if you see some of the those docs who donate their time, say thank you. And also, the County Commissioners Association reception that was scheduled for tonight has been canceled, and it will be rescheduled for a later date, and I'll let you know. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair would like to announce following changes to the standing committees. The appointment of the senator from Wyoming to the Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development, replacing the senator from Pleasants. The appointment of the senator from Wyoming to the Committee on Banking and Insurance, replacing the senator from Jackson. The appointment of the senator from Wyoming to the Committee on Education, replacing the senator from Roane, and the appointment of the senator from Wyoming to the Committee on the Judiciary, replacing the senator from Nicholas. Are there further announcements? Senior senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee will meet this afternoon in our Finance meeting room. At 3 o'clock, we'll hear its budget hearing with the Department of Education School Building Authority. Then tomorrow, I want to highlight this announcement and try to get our members there. We've got 4 supplementals that have been introduced by the governor. We'll deal with them first at 3 o'clock. Then we'll have a budget hearing with the Department of Commerce. So tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock as well for the supplementals. We'll be running those and meeting with the Department of Commerce.
Further announcements. The senior senator from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Transportation and Infrastructure Committee will meet tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And also, Mr. President, tomorrow is Broadband Day at the Legislature. Thank you, Mr. President.
The junior senator from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Committee on Banking and Insurance will meet today at 2 p.m. in the Judiciary Conference Room, and the agenda has been posted.
Senator from Upshur.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development will meet today in room 451M at 1 p.m.
Senator from Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Committee on the Judiciary will meet today at 3 p.m. in the Senate Judiciary Chamber.
Senator from Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Committee on Energy, Industry, and Mining will be meeting tomorrow at 1 p.m. in room 208.
Senior senator from the 15th. Senior senator from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 announcements. First one is the majority party will caucus tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning at the President's Conference Room. And the second one is your Committee on Government Organization will meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. and the agenda will be posted. Thank you, Mr. President.
Junior senator from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to announce the subcommittee meeting on Bill SB 216 today in the Judiciary Conference Room at 2:45. This committee includes the senator from Upshur and the senator from Harrison. Thank you.
Senator from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Committee on Health and Human Resources will meet tomorrow at 1 p.m. in the Finance Committee room.
Senator from Preston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Committee on Education will meet tomorrow at 2 p.m., 451M.
Further announcements. Senator from Roane.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Natural Gas Caucus, the joint House-Senate Natural Gas Caucus, will be holding its first meeting Wednesday at 8 a.m. in the House Government Organization Room, and the subject will be Vets for Energy. Thank you.
Further announcements. Question for the Senate stand adjourned until tomorrow at 11 a.m. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. I declare the Senate adjourned.
And that was today's Senate floor session. The House will meet at 1 o'clock. 6 bills will be up for passage tomorrow in the Senate. However, Senate Bill 253 has been assigned to the Committee on Rules. The Rules Committee is chaired by the Senate President. It indicates that there may be a problem with this piece of legislation. Senate Bill 253, to facilitate and expedite the creation and operation by the state of West Virginia and by its political subdivisions of drug treatment and drug recovery programs and facilities in this state by removing legal barriers and obstacles to their creation and operation. This relates to local zoning ordinances. There must be a problem that needs to be worked out on this bill for it to be pulled from the calendar on second reading and assigned to the Committee on Rules. The House will have 3 bills up for passage at 1 o'clock relating to rule-making under the State Administrative Procedures Act. That will be explained and debated on the floor today. House Bill 4007 relating generally to appointment of attorneys to assist the Attorney General, and House Bill 4031 requiring agencies to respond to public comments received during the rule-making process. In the House of Delegates today at 1 o'clock, we'll see an explanation of those bills as they are up for debate and passage. Before we leave, this program reminder, the Legislature Today, our nightly broadcast of legislative news and information, airs at 6:30 and 11:30 every weeknight on West Virginia PBS. The Legislature Today will be repeated weeknights at 10 and weekday mornings at 6:30 here on the West Virginia channel. Tonight, Ashton Mara's guest will be Adjutant General James Hoyer of the West Virginia National Guard to give us a status report of how the state fared during the massive snowstorm that hit West Virginia over the weekend. We'll see you back here at 1 o'clock. For now, I'm Beth Voorhees for the West Virginia Channel, a service of West Virginia Public Broadcasting.